Well, the Wall Street Journal slamming a bill proposed by House Democrats who say the bill's aimed at making the U.S. more competitive. But the Journal says, quote, to counter China, Democrats think America must copy Beijing's industrial model. Here now is Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Senator, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Now, this bill, it's just a puny little $250 billion bill, by the way, which is pocket change compared to the trillions of dollars that we're spending. But it's still $250 billion. It was passed last summer by the Senate. And it really is based, if you look at it closely, on the sort of a command economy model, the kind that China uses. Is that really what this country needs right now?
That is not what we're built on. That's why when it came through the Senate, I did not vote for it in the Senate, because it is built exactly as you say. If China is, quote unquote, successful in their economy, let's try to China by doing even more central government and even more central control and trying to be able to manage how the economy works and to be able to control our economy. If we're going to respond to China, there's some very clear ways to be able to do that economically. There's some ways to be able to do that by blocking off intellectual property, by preventing them from buying large tracts of property in the United States and blocking out their enterprises here. There are clear ways to be able to do that. That's not what this bill does. It instead tries to use federal tax dollars to try to do private industry. That becomes a problem long term. That's what China's failing on, and we're trying to do it here, apparently.
Well, and we've tried before, and it's failed here before. Solyndra comes to mind. But the bottom line is, did any of your Republican senators vote in favor? And did you try to talk them out of it?
I did, actually, and we had quite a debate on this. There's a first step on it that happened over in the Senate. The House has now taken months and months. They're taking up theirs. There seems to be a conglomeration of every idea that they want to be able to throw in. They're taking pieces of the Build Back Better bill and trying to be able to slip it in and say, no, this is China related as well, and trying to be able to get it in. They've got a new piece that does college students, trying to track all their data for American college students in their quote unquote China bill. So when people hear about this China bill, they're going to be headlines. They need to be able to read all the details below it and find out that the House is throwing a lot of stuff in it that has nothing to do with China.
Well, speaking of Chinese and woke economic models, we now have a Fed nominee who believes in using monetary policy to direct woke energy goals. Her name is Sarah Bloom Raskin. Are you going to vote in favor or against her appointment to the Fed?
I will vote twice against her if I have the opportunity to be able to vote twice against her, because there's no way that this person should be then controlling aspects of our Federal Reserve. She's actively promoted using the Federal Reserve to be able to shut out fossil fuels. Now, people can say fossil fuels. That's 70% of the energy in the United States right now. So she's talking about actively trying to cut off any kind of capital and financing to 70% of our energy. When the times right now, when people are seeing their gasoline prices shoot up with Biden policies, natural gas prices shooting up because of Biden policies, he's now going to add someone in the middle of the Federal Reserve that's going to do even more damage to our oil and gas. That's the big issue right now happening in Europe, is how are they going to get natural gas because of Russia's supply into Europe on that, with all the impending battle with Ukraine. The United States should be providing more energy to the world and more sustainable energy here, not less. And she's literally going after what is the biggest issue in Europe right now and what is day-to-day life for us here in the United States because of her woke preferences.
And of course, the moves to kill natural gas production and distribution, et cetera, are causing us to use more coal. We're now using 24% of our energy needs come from coal as opposed to 20% last year. So it's making the air dirtier. But the bottom line is that has nothing to do with the two mandates of the Federal Reserve, which is unemployment and monetary stability. All right, because of all the spending that we've been doing, and it started with Republicans under Donald Trump with regard to the COVID relief I mentioned, we now have a national debt that's over $30 trillion. Now, you took a pledge not to raise taxes. I'm behind you 100% on that pledge that you took. But how do you get that national debt down, if not with higher taxes?
Yeah, this has been the grand challenge. In fact, it's been an additional $2 trillion in debt just in the last 4 months that's been piling on. You take the bill the Democrats did last March, it was all debt related as well after the economy is recovering. What I've said for years is there's two things that you've got to be able to do. You've got to be able to control your spending, and you've got to have a growing economy. After the 2017 tax bill that we passed under President Trump, that passed with the Republican legislature at that time, we got a growing economy, and it still continues to survive even through the COVID time period. We have have the growing economy, but spending is not being controlled. We're on the wrong trajectory on this. And until Congress has pressure to be able to try to do both of those, we're not going to get out of this. Right now, there's proposals on the next set of appropriation bills that are even more spending, while the House is talking about another $250 billion they want to be able to throw towards a quote unquote China bill. There's no restraint on spending here. And until we get a restraint on spending while we have a growing economy, we'll never get caught up on this.
And very quickly, we've got to run, but there was a rumor, it was in the Wall Street Journal, that Senator Manchin was still negotiating with the White House on BBB. He said that's not true. He said, do you see any weakening in his position to be against bringing up BBB again this year?
I don't see any weakening in his position on that at all, and I think the House doesn't either. That's why they're trying to sneak aspects of the BBB into their China bill to try to get it in other places.
And again, very quickly, but is it possible that with the bad job numbers, we may have some kind of attempt for an emergency spending measure coming out of the White House?
No, we do not need to have another emergency spending thing. We already have giant inflation right now with 7% inflation, and that being under control. The more the administration throws money out into the public and says this will fix it, it is throwing gasoline into the fire right now of inflation. They're making a bad situation worse.
Senator James Lankford, good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Good to see you as
well.
well.
Appreciate it.